Alright. It's the second time I tried recording this. I didn't realize the sound was off, so I'm going to try to make this short because I'm tired of talking about this. But this is going to be my review of the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 3, directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Jon Favreau. And I didn't really like this one. It was directed by the same director of the first episode, which I also didn't really like. But this one I feel like was just much worse. Let's see. How did I start this last time? Basically, I didn't really like the cast. A lot of the characters sucked. Like, again, these Star Wars TV episodes, I'm like, one of the main problems is that they keep casting people who look like they belong in a kids show or a sitcom. And boy, there were quite a few of them in this one. Yeah, I don't know whether a lot of the fault lies with the director or the writer or what, but I feel like there were a lot of people to blame in this one. So yeah, like some of the sitcom actors, like the mayor's sidekick, he just always seems like a goofy sitcom character with his goofy facial expressions and these stupid comedic scenes where Boba Fett wants to go in to see the mayor and he's like, oh, let me come up with a funny excuse as to why you can't see him. And it's just like, it's so stupid. And then there was like this other sitcom guy who came in and he was like, I'm a water broker. Like, I'm being troubled by these street toughs. If only you can go beat these street toughs up, then I'll double your tribute. Like, I'll pay you more money. And so Boba Fett goes and he meets up with these street toughs. And of course they're like these teeny bopper, fresh-faced, cliche characters. Like, I've heard other people talk about Boba Fett and they said that there were Power Rangers in it. And I think these people must have been what they were talking about because they did have a very Power Ranger-like vibe. They were all like teenagers and they were like cyborgs and like some of them had like a cyborg eye. And they were annoying because, like, Boba Fett hires them to be his, like, his I don't know, his henchmen. And that was the stupidest route that they could have gone in. Because, like, this is a frontier planet. It's a frontier story about crime lords. And they've got these freaking teeny boppers. They look like the neutrinos from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like the neutrinos used to drive around in this spaceship speeder that looked like a 1950s Dodge Dart Swinger with the spoilers on it. It kind of reminded me of that because they had all these mod mopeds, these Quadrophenia moped like speeders. And matching speeders in different colors, like, oh, I'm the White Ranger. Like, that must have been what people were talking about, but and then they were all like skinny and malnourished looking, like skin and bone, and had these gray style skinny skeletons. And like back in the 80s and 90s, I don't know, maybe it was the 90s, probably the 80s, when like the New Kids on the Block had the song called Hangin' Tough or something like that, where they were all these boy bopper, teeny bopper people, and they were like posing and going, I'm mean, this is my scary face. They were just posing and singing about hanging tough. Like they had their bandanas on and shit. Like, that's the level of intimidation that these stupid teeny boppers had. And then, like, there was this one point where the comedic mayor's assistant was getting in a speeder and escaping, and Boba Fett didn't even chase after him. Was like, teenage teen squad, get him! And they got on their multicolored motorbikes and they were speeding along, going and making their scariest faces. And the mayor's assistant was like speeding away. Oh, I hope these teenagers don't get me. Oh my god. On their mopeds. And they were like trying to make it like in Indiana Jones in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, in the chase scene, like he was knocking over like scaffolding and ladders, and people were falling off, and they were trying to do all kinds of comedic stuff to make that more exciting in the same vein. Because millennial artists can't write their own stuff; they gotta copy things that other people did. But it didn't work, and because I think it was like the main reason that this chase scene just seemed so cheesy, aside from the copycat shit and the neutrino teenager Power Ranger kids, there was like this techno beat that was playing in the background that just kind of like killed all the tension, killed all the excitement. It was just like, oh, this is cool stuff. These are cool guys. These are cool kids following. They're doing stuff. And one of them was like a skinny girl, and like her fake angry face was like it's just so stupid. I feel like one of the redeeming qualities that this episode had was when Boba Fett was going into his bacta tank and meditating, and at the end of his like dream sequence, he opens up the bacta tank, and then that Wookiee from the last episode is there, and it grabs him by the throat and rips him out of the tank and like drags him onto the floor and starts throwing him a beating, just laying a beating on this guy. And that was kind of cool, but then all of a sudden the teeny boppers rushed into the rescue, and they were just like using all their gadgets and fighting the Wookiee, and like they surrounded him, and the Wookiee was like confused, and he was like not like, I don't know, he's being attacked from all sides. I guess that could have worked. And then the Gamorrean guards showed up, and then the Wookiee just like sidesteps all the teenagers and stiff arms the Gamorrean guards, and they tumble down the stairs. And I thought that was kind of at first I was like, I guess you might do that. Like a Gamorrean guard is seems like much more of a threat than these little teen kids, than the Teen Thug Squad. But the thing about that is, like, when you're playing chess, you don't always go right at the queen. You don't go right for the king. Like, you trade stuff. Like, you kind of take out some of the weaker opponents so they're not in the way. So you have less to think about. Like, you simplify the battlefield. Like this weakling's here. I'm going to kill him while I'm waiting for these guys to come over here. I'm going to kill some of these weaker things, so I only have to worry about those two instead of going right to those two and having to worry about them and everyone else. And like some of these like teenagers with their gray-style skeletons, like I feel like the Wookiee would have just had to just punch one of them and that would end them. Like, they were just so skinny, and like they were like vegetarians. They were like vegans. Their muscles were so thin, and they didn't look like thugs. Like when you think of like when you watch a mob movie, what do the gangsters look like? Do they look like teenagers? Like, go team! Let's after we fight, let's play in our rock band. Like in a mob movie, people are grizzled. They look like the Boba Fett's henchmen should look like freaking, I don't know, gangsters, not teenagers. They should look like MMA fighters. They should look like goons. Like I don't believe these teenagers at all. That Wookiee, he probably could have gotten like at least 3 good punches, and then he could have ended these kids with 1 punch. Like I've been watching a lot of these Bigfoot documentaries, or listening to them on YouTube, and there was this like Native American story about how these Native Americans were going to war with these Sasquatch. Like, it's an old story, and they were talking about how like the Sasquatch would grab a person, and it happened multiple times. He'd pick him up and just twist his head right off of his body and detach his skull from his neck and just toss the head away. And it just seemed like that's what should have happened. Like, some of these kids should have been casualties. Some of them should have been killed. The Wookiee should have just, like, twist, like, oh, look at my, is there a Snapple fun fact under this cap that I just twisted off? And then just toss it in the garbage, swish. And then he should have fought the Gamorrean guards. and like, and then he tackles the Gamorrean guards and they tumble down the stairs, and then they go into the main throne room. And I predicted immediately right away that somebody was going to hit the trapdoor button, and then the Wookiee would fall in, and that's exactly what happened. Fennec Shand showed up at the last minute and hit the button, and it was like she should have been the first person there. Like, she's supposed to be this assassin, the most competent person there, but she was the obliviously shows up at the last minute. And then the Hutts show up, and they're like, "Oh, we're sorry we sent this Wookiee to murder you." They're all apologetic. Like an hour later, it's like we just happened to receive some information about that we were wrong to kill you. It's like, and it was like an hour later. Like it seemed like that, like the amount of time that passed couldn't have been more than an hour, and like they were still being carried by all these servants. Like I could just imagine them hurrying through the desert on their like carrying whatever it is, their throne thing. Like all these, they could barely walk just to turn the thing, and like they just showed up immediately. We got here as quickly as we could. Like it was dumb, and it just seemed like so convenient, like that the Rancor got killed in the movie, so it's like, oh, we're in Jabba's palace. We like immediately need to fill this hole here. Like the writer was just so in love with the Rancor pit that he was like, we got it. We have to fill this. Like they couldn't have a different alien in there, or they just couldn't, like, I don't know. One thing about this show that I've started to think about is that like in The Mandalorian, the main character Din Djarin was like, I'm a Mandalorian, I have a code to follow, and also I'm a bounty hunter, I have a code that I have to follow. And then but the moral thing to do would be to like take care of this child, and like he was torn, like he had an inner conflict. Boba Fett doesn't seem like he has any inner conflict. He's just like, I'm a guy, I do the right thing, and my henchmen do all the work for me. Yeah, I don't feel like he's torn at all. He just kind of like, maybe he has doubts here and there, but then Fennec Shand just tells him what to do. Anyway, so his Rancor, they drop off the Rancor, and it's got like an eye sleeping mask on that you put on when you're sleeping on an airplane. And I thought that was kind of neat because like parrots and falconers, they put on a hood to blind the bird so it keeps it calm. And even the crocodile hunter would, like, when he would catch a crocodile, he'd cover its eyes up, and the crocodile would go into like a meditative, sleepy state. So it was kind of cool that they had that. But then they started talking about the Rancor, and it's like, oh, Rancors are very emotional creatures. They're not really that scary. They're so loving. It was just so stupid. Like, can't anything be dangerous anymore? Can't anything be a hazard? It's just like, oh, the sand people are just misunderstood. Like, the Rancor, like, they were trying to make it out to be this, like, dog. Like, oh, he's just a loving dog. It was so stupid. Like, it's just annoying. Like, I feel like, man, Rian Johnson or Kathleen Kennedy must have been in the writer's ear or something, because it just reminded me of the cuteness from The Last Jedi when they had all those stupid Pokemons, like all the Porgs and the freaking crystal foxes and the stupid horse rabbits. It was just like, oh my god, we need a cute animal to go with our freaking stupid teenagers. It's a frontier town. It should be dangerous. There should be people living there who look like they're from the frontier. Not... It's just annoying. Oh, and Machete was the Rancor keeper. I don't know what happened to the old one, but the old Rancor keeper, but he was there, and I don't know. He looked like he belonged to the frontier. I don't mind Machete. They can, like, he fits the part. But like, almost none of the other characters did. Yeah, so the Rancors, they're not dangerous anymore. They're cute. And they're like, oh, stand in front of him, and so when he opens his eyes, he'll imprint on you. then he'll think of you as his daddy. And so that's what happened. And Boba Fett had this big smile, and he was like scratching the Rancor's ears like it was just a puppy. Yeah, the Hutts, like, they dropped off this Rancor to apologize for the attempt on Boba Fett's life that happened like moments before, and like they just dropped it off and left. And I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I thought that like when Boba Fett was like snuggling with it and petting it, I thought it was like gonna be like a Trojan horse type of thing where the Rancor was just gonna be like just grab him and bite its head off, but no, it was just like it was so stupid. At first I was like, how is Boba Fett falling for this? It's clearly a trap, but it wasn't a trap, which is stupid. And then Boba Fett had to leave and go do some business, and then like the Rancor keeper Machete was like, oh, don't worry, Rancor, he'll be back. Like the Rancor was like emotionally, like suffering emotionally, like it had, like, you know, those dogs that have this emotional condition where they freak out and chew up the sofa when their master's gone. Like, it was like, oh, don't worry, he'll be back. Like, that's what the rank was going through the Rancor's head. This episode was a fucking embarrassment. And like, I can't blame the director. I don't like him based on the 2 episodes that I've seen so far. But a lot of this shit was the writer. It was just dumb. Like, I'm tired of talking about this. Did I cover everything? I feel like I give this one an F. Yeah, this was an embarrassment. Goodbye.